Well, welcome in. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So nice to have so many of you joining from across the continent as we dive in with another super exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. For those of you joining us for the first time, which is most of you because we are starting off the school year really recently, it's so nice to have you as we get to celebrate and showcase the coolest explorers, scientists, adventurers all over planet Earth every single day. To cap off or start off the school year, we've already had birds on the wing. We've been live from the North Pole. We've had an AI bias event. It has been a wild ride, but no event has had a bigger audience than this one. 982 kids from, I think, 6 provinces and 10 U.S. states. A big welcome to each and every one of you, and I'll welcome in all our StreamYarders in just a second. Before we get underway, I want to note we do have a Kahoot today. So between our talk and our Q&A, you can play along with the little 4-question quiz with that game pin right there, an extra way to keep it fun and engaging. And if you do have extra questions after the broadcast, please do email them to us at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. We'll pass them along to the Toucan Rescue Ranch team. Now, don't tell any of the other speakers that we have on, but my favorite group to ever bring on is the Toucan Rescue Ranch. They are in San Jose, Costa Rica, right in the capital, and they rescue, rehabilitate, and re-release injured wildlife, some of the most incredible animals on planet Earth in the tropical rainforest. Both Joe and I, my colleague, have had the chance to visit in person. It's such a special place. Classes like you have collectively raised several $1,000s for the ranch's efforts over the years. And today we are going to learn about the amazing sloths there, one of the coolest animals on planet Earth, from Andrea, their education lead. So without further ado, thank you all so much for being here. And Andrea, welcome back to the broadcast and take us away on a journey.
Hi, Jesse, and hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. If you're new, then welcome. If this is not your first broadcast with us, then thank you for coming back again. I hope you guys have many other questions. If you had already had the chance of, me answering questions or someone else answering questions, and you guys asking as many as you want. So we're here in Costa Rica at the Toucan Rescue Ranch. So as Jesse was saying a little bit, here at the ranch, we're both a rescue center and a wildlife sanctuary. So as a rescue center, our main goal is to rescue, rehabilitate, and rewild as many animals as possible, which means that we just want to see them going back into the wild as much as we can, because of course that's where the wild animals belong, right? However, if by any chance an animal is not able to go back into the wild because they were injured or they don't have the proper behaviors. For example, they're not scared of people. They're not friendly, but they're not scared of people. Or they just don't have what it takes to survive on their own, then they're going to stay here at the sanctuary. So we're going to be learning a little bit about some of our permanent residents that live on the sanctuary. And of course, we're going to provide them with a home for the rest of their lives. And we're going to try to pamper them and make sure that they're just as comfortable as they can. And hopefully we're going to see some animals under rehabilitation. And we're going to be learning a little bit about the rehabilitation programs that we have for our sloths here at the ranch. So Toucan Rescue Ranch started back in 2004, sorry. And as the name says, we started rescuing basically just toucans and other parrots and macaws, but it was just birds. So our founder, she had a lot of previous experience working with rescued birds and whatnot. And so she wanted to create a place that she would start taking in, toucan rescues and whatnot, because there was not a lot of people that wanted to work with toucans here in Costa Rica. Then in 2007, she decided that she wanted the experience of a lifetime of, rescuing an adult sloth, helping it, and then returning it back into the wild. By then, we had our release site already, and we had like so many wild sloths and other animals visiting, so it was a perfect place to do that. But I guess, destiny and the world had other plans for us, because instead of rescuing an adult sloth, we rescued a teeny tiny baby. Her name was Millie, and she was the one who opened up so many opportunities for the rest of the sloths and mammals, because she was the first mammal to ever be rescued by us. And now, thanks to Millie and the rest of the sloths that we've taken care of, we are able to specialize on sloths. So our vet team, some of them, they specialize solely on sonarthrans and sloths, and we have been able to teach so many other people about these amazing animals. And so I know you guys do not really want to see me. You want to see sloths, so I'm gonna switch it back, and I'm gonna let my friend Latte over here be the star of the show, essentially, as always. And we can start talking a little bit about the sloth. So there are so many things to talk about them. They are fascinating animals, and unfortunately, they don't get the credit that they deserve. They should be giving much more, and there should be much more information. There should be more researchers, interested on working with sloths. And unfortunately, up until now, that's not really the case. So a lot of the things that we learn from sloths, when we're in school or watching documentaries or reading in books, a lot of them is, misinformation, or there's a lot of myths surrounding them. One of the biggest myths that surrounds sloths is that these guys are, very lazy animals, that they just eat, sleep, and repeat every day, all day long. And that's not the case. So sloths, they don't really sleep all day long like other people would say. They sleep an average of 10 to maybe 12 hours a day. In captivity, of course, they're much more comfortable, so they get to sleep a little bit more. But in the wild, it's not really that much. Another thing is that, sloths are so lazy, they move so slow. And while part of that is true, it's not because of what most people think. They don't move slowly just because, they're lazy or they're not feeling like it. They're just trying to conserve and save up as much energy as possible. So they are what we like to call energy efficient animals. So they move slowly because that's one of the biggest strategies that they have to conserve that energy. Also, they're hanging from upside down, just like Lat is doing. And that's another strategy for them to conserve that energy. So, believe it or not, hanging down like this actually saves up a lot of energy. You might be thinking that she's doing a lot of strength by, just holding onto the branch like this, but she's actually not doing any sort of strength. She's not wasting any sort of energy by doing this. And so they have the coolest ability that they can lock their tendons. So, for example, if this was, Latte's fingers or her hand, if I was to hang from this or even from the branch, I would have to do a lot of strength. I would need a lot of muscle. And I don't think I would hold for more than a couple of seconds, to be honest. But these guys, since they can lock their tendons, basically it's kind of like a padlock. So they just close them, and it's really, really hard to actually open them. So if I want to get her down, which I'm not going to, if I try to open her back leg or her front arm over here, her hand, it's going to take a lot of energy from me and a lot of strength as well, just because they're very, very strong. They're almost like 3 times stronger than an average human. So, I mean, you have to think twice if you, want to struggle with a sloth. Jesse, I don't know if you have the video around that we can show them.
I certainly do. And so
Okay.
if we want to bring this up, this is a little bit of a different thing from a sloth. I will note, Andrea sent me a few pictures and my computer does not want me to share pictures. So I'm going to pass all of you in an email after. But let's cue up this video of a sloth moving rather speedily in an attempt to avoid maybe being eaten. Let's check it out.
So this was taken on a camera trap somewhere in South America. And it's just the coolest thing because you can easily see just how fast sloths can move whenever there's motivation to do so. In this case, to be able to defend itself. And that they can be rather aggressive and defensive animals. So it's not like you're walking out in the forest and then suddenly a sloth comes and, attacks you or comes after you. They will come after you if you start bothering them, if you try to cuddle with them or get close to them, just like how that ocelot was doing. And so the ocelot was actually rather lucky that the sloth didn't get a hold on him, because if he would have, that ocelot would have had a lot of injuries, like very nasty injuries. One of the main reasons why we have to rescue sloths here at the ranch is because they get attacked by dogs, which is, very unfortunate. But sometimes we also ask, the dog owners, like, hey, how's the dog doing? And they're like, we had to take it to the vet, and they are in critical care because of all of the injuries that the sloth did on the dog in order to defend itself. And so they're not defenseless animals. They're not the cuddly animal that everyone thinks they are. Both because they can move rather fast whenever they need to defend themselves, but also they've got those very sharp claws, and they also have very big sharp teeth that I'm not sure if you're able to see them right there. You can kind of get to see Lattice canines popping out. There you go. There you go. um, and so something really cool about sloth's teeth is that the babies are already born with a full permanent set of teeth. So I'm pretty sure you guys, if you already had some of your teeth falling out, your milk teeth, your baby teeth, you already had them replaced with your permanent teeth. And if something happens to your permanent teeth, then basically you're doomed because they're not going to grow back again. So these guys, they have to be careful because if they break one of their teeth, or something happens, or they fall, they're not going to grow back. They only have that permanent set of teeth. Also, another cool thing is that their teeth, they never stop growing, which is something very unique to these guys as well. You think of rodents and, beavers or mice or squirrels, their teeth, they never stop growing either. So same thing happens to sloths. That's pretty awesome. Also, there's, the two-fingered and the three-fingered sloth. Here at the ranch, we personally prefer to call them two-fingered, three-fingered sloths instead of two-toed, three-toed sloths, because if you see here, this is very confusing. Depending on which side you see, if it's the front or the back legs, you might be confused. So all sloths, like, Latte here, they all have three toes on their back legs. So for me, it's kind of misleading and confusing to call them two-toed, three-toed sloths. In their hands, however, that's where it changes. So two-fingered sloths, like Latte, they're going to have two fingers in their hands. And if she was a three-finger sloth, you would see an extra finger in that hand. So again, here's how it looks. Two in the front, three in the back, basically. There's many other differences between two and three-finger sloth. One of my favorite differences is the piggy nose that the two-finger sloths have, and the three-finger sloths don't have that. Their nose looks more kind of like a dog nose, if you will. Their hair is also very much different. Three-finger sloths don't have the canines that the two-finger sloths have, that you already saw. And the two-finger sloths are the ones that have kind of like the running mascara under their eyes, and the two-finger sloths don't have that. Now, I know I've been talking a lot. I don't know if Jesse, there's questions now, or if you want to do the Kahoot now while I walk towards the rehab area.
You know what we'll do? We'll do our Kahoot while we walk to the rehab area. That's a great idea, and then we can see some of our new friends then. So, first and foremost, thank you so much for such a cool dive in on our sloth friend. And I love, for our kids, I get to do a lot of broadcasts, and there's no group that more consistently gets up close and personal animal interactions than the Toucan Rescue Ranch. So you're so lucky to have the chance to hang out with us today for this. As I noted at the beginning, some of you came in a little late. We are going to do our Kahoot now. So this is 4 questions to test our understanding and have some fun. The faster you answer, the more points you get. And what you win is Andrea and I's everlasting respect. So
yes,
we're going to begin this momentarily as our macaws are screaming in the background. And then we'll see who wins, and we'll dive in with our rehab center and your questions in a minute. I am going to get us underway. Andrea, if you want to help us out with any clues along the way, you're welcome to chime in and give us a little assistance. But here we go.
Will do.
3, 2, 1. True or false? Some sloths actually have moss growing on their fur. What do we think? False. I may have chosen a picture with a particularly green sloth here, maybe to get along. I love this about them. And so I want to stress too, I have a great picture of this that Andrea sent me that I'll share with all our classes at the end.
Yes.
So sloths absolutely can have moss growing in their fur or algae, which is so imagine being, hanging so long that things just start to grow on you and you get like a little ecosystem on you. There's moss that hang out there. It's
And
very,
it gives
very cool.
camouflage. I mean, it allows you to be practically invisible throughout the forest.
Certainly does. Oh, Nifty Sloth is fourth, and I've got to say, I'm kind of rooting for you just for the name alone. All right, sloths come down how often to go to the bathroom? Is it 5 times a day, 1 time a day, 1 time a week, or they never leave the canopy? They don't come down at all. They just pee and poo from the tops of the trees. What do we think? Get those answers in. 60 of you already. I love it. You guys are so keen. Wow.
A little hint, it has nothing to do with how many times you guys go to the bathroom.
It does not. We have over 100 cahooters today. What a mix. So 1 time a week, which is not very frequent. I'm glad I go more than 1 time a week.
I know, right? You probably feel like super bloated and everything.
Very bad. Very bad. Blue Fox has our lead. Way to go. 2 more questions. All right, true or false? Sloths need to use their powerful arm muscles to hang upside down. What do we think? We just learned this. We talked about this. Are they holding on?
Do they have a lot of core?
Yep. I don't think so. Those claws are pretty special. So many of you in the Kahoot. This is our first over 100 Kahoot in the entire school year. So thank you so much for kicking us off with a bang. All right. Our answer is false. Oh, 52 of you weren't paying too much attention. They have these big hooks. They just hang there in the same way that you don't need a lot of muscles to stand upright. Your body just sort of walks in that place. Sloths don't need to use their arm muscles. That's why they're able to hang like that and live the way they do. Very good. All
Actually, right. To add on that, a fun fact, sloths have about 30% less muscle mass than a lot of other mammals. So they don't have a lot of muscles. They do have a lot of core, but they don't have like a lot of muscles or a lot of muscle tissue. They don't have any muscles on their faces though. So that's why they're always constantly looking like they're smiling.
There you go. I have lots of muscles in my face, and that's why I constantly smiling. All right. Our final question for all the marbles, multi-select. So there's more than one right answer for this. Which of these animals are also at the rescue ranch? Toucans, macaws, otters, owls. Maybe it's all 4. Maybe it's some of them. What do we think? We talked about a few of these. This is a bit of a tricky one. No worries if you don't get it right. Just play along and have some fun. But we're at the Toucan Rescue Ranch. So they definitely have toucans. Do we have the rest? What do we think? With the answers, we have all of these creatures. And so Andrea always says to me before the broadcast, she's like, what are we going to focus on today? And I said, sloths today. Soon, we're going to take you another day to meet the toucans, macaws, otters, and owls. We've done lots of broadcasts on all those creatures. Very, very good for playing along.
There's so much to talk about.
There's so much. You have amazing creatures there of all kinds. It's really fun. Hero Kitten is second and first. Our winner today is Mountain Gazelle. Way to go, everybody.
Yay!
Playing along in general. You guys rock. Are you at the rehab area? Do we want to take a look?
Yes, I am.
Start with our questions?
Yeah, of course.
Sweet.
So, as I was saying, we have our rescue center side. So one of the perks about these virtual tours is that we're actually being able to come to the rescue center. If you guys come here in person, because we have the rehabilitation of animals and whatnot, we don't want them to get too used to people or too stressed around people. To be honest, I don't really come here a lot either. I lost track of how many animals we have at the moment, but we can certainly talk about the programs. So here on the Rescue Center side, we have our very famous Saving Sloths Together program. So since we specialize on sloths, at the very beginning when we rescued Neely, people did not believe it was possible to hand raise a baby sloth and then put them back into the wild, because people used to say like, oh, they're going to get super used to people, they're not going to be able to learn without mom, those kinds of things. And so that was like the common answer for quite some time, until in 2007 we decided to start the Saving Sloths Together program. Latte, the sloth that we already saw, she was the first one from the first generation of babies that we actually decided to start trying to rehabilitate, to hand raise here at the ranch with us, and then rehabilitate and teach her how to be a wild sloth. And even though she was not successful, because she kept on coming super close to people and the clinic and everything, and that's not normal for a sloth. We have perfectioned everything on our program. And of course, with every single baby sloth that arrives, we get to learn more and more and more on how to raise them, what to do, what not to do. So those kinds of things are amazing. So on the Saving Sloths Together program, our sloths, they also have to go to school, just like you guys, and just like I did. So the newcomers, the teeny tiny babies from newborn, premature babies, babies that got abandoned by mom, or that something happened to mom, those teeny tiny babies that are under 1 kilogram, they are going to stay on our on our preschool nursery area, which is this one. So right over here, this structure is where we have some of our babies. There's one right over here. And over here, they basically learn how to start climbing. As you can see, there's lots of branches. There's also a couple of plush toys if they want to snuggle with the plushie. There's some leaves so that they start learning how to start climbing and looking for their food. They also have some hammocks so that they can start snuggling together. So at this age, even though we know that sloths are not necessarily, social animals, they're actually solitary animals. At this age, they would still be with mom, and they would be with mom for about a year and a half. And so if we keep them separately, they actually get very distressed, and they're going to start screaming, and their body temperature might not be the best, just because they won't have each one, one another to keep themselves warm and snuggle with one another. If they would still, be with mom, they would be in mom's belly. Like if this was mom, they would be hanging right over here. You would see their head popping out right over here, looking like mom has, for example, two heads, which is super cute. And so here they start learning all of the proper behaviors that we need them to learn in order to go back into the wild. Here they need 24/7 care, so we always have our sloth nannies around taking care of them, feeding them, and doing everything that they need. Taking them to the bathroom, because yes, we have to teach them how to and when to go to the bathroom. Since you already know, they have to come all the way down to go to the bathroom. If they were with mom, they would learn that from mom. But since we don't have her here, we have to bring them outside to this structure right here, like on the base of the tree, and just wait for them to poop and pee, which can take from a couple of minutes to a very long while. That's gonna depend on each of the babies and how much they need to go. A baby needs to go to the bathroom because their bellies are going to be extremely bloated, just like this tiny friend over here. So they look kind of like pear shaped, which is super adorable. And they're completely ready to go. Hello.
Hello.
Then after they start growing a little bit more, they reach their 1 kilogram milestone. We take them to the nursery, to the elementary school. So elementary school, it has a bigger structure than this one. It's about maybe this tall, so like another story. They start getting much more independent. They start getting much more leaves. They start getting a little bit less milk. We start giving them kind of like a protein smoothie so that they can continue growing. Then eventually they're gonna come out here to the rehab area. So these trees over here, we put them here every day so that they can practice their climbing skills on an actual tree, and they can start eating from an actual tree as well. And they'll start learning how to sleep up on a tree, how to start being more independent, how to camouflage, which is very important. And as they start growing older, they start becoming much more independent. So they'll start, liking their personal space, and they won't allow the other babies to start coming towards their and bothering them on their personal space, those kinds of things. And then eventually the last stage would be college or the university. So we have that at our release site. This baby really needs to go. And so at the release site, we have a very big outdoor enclosure in which we teach them how to be even more independent, and we make sure that they have everything that they need in order to survive on their own. You might have seen that there's a division right here, and that's because we've got the 2-finger sloth babies on this side, and over this side we have the 3-finger sloth babies. So if I'm not wrong, this might be Mocha, and these might be Petunia, or it could be the other way. I'm not really sure. Still don't know how to tell them apart. And again, I don't spend a lot of time here on the rehab area. But you can see those differences that I was telling you about, the running mascara. You can see the 3 fingers right there on his hand. The hair that is also different. And if you guys remember what we were talking about, the piggy nose, 3-finger sloths don't really have that piggy nose. And the lighting is not really good in here. No.
Pretty cute, Andrea. This is very, very special. What a cool, like, again, your setup of giving them all these opportunities to prepare them for going back to the wild is so, so neat. And these are particularly adorable ones. I think these might be our babies in the history of exploring by the seat of your pants. Nice. Is there anything else you wanted to share, or can we dive in with questions? Because we have so many already.
We can definitely dive in with questions.
Sweet. Well, I'm going to begin with a new class to us. So Mr. D's class joining us in Manitoba. So nice to have you guys in. If you want to flip on your microphone, we can come to you in just a second. All our teachers, in fact, you can keep your microphones on. It's a nice thing about StreamYard. Come on in. Take us away. Hey, guys. Hello. Do you have any questions for Andrea?
Question? We have one, Chloe, left. Okay, we have one question. Go on, Chloe, guys. Go, Chloe. She's waiting for you. Ask a question.
What do you do if, like, there's a storm and all the sloths are outside?
Perfect.
What do we do if there's a storm? So that's a really good question. If we have the babies outside on the trees that I showed you, then as soon as we start hearing about the storm, because we can hear the rain coming, or if we see that the sky starts getting like super gray and dark and everything, the sloth nannies will just run to try to grab them. Sometimes it'll be easy, sometimes it'll be very hard because they have to climb up the tree, because sloths are always up on the tree, which is very good for them that they're learning how to climb very high. It's not really good for the sloth nannies. They're not like a super fan of that. If it was the sloths that we have here as permanent residents, they are inside their enclosures, just like, for example, Georgie back there. You can kind of see some movement right there. Even though our sloths have buckets with like blankets and everything, and I can show them right here, these are for our permanent residents, the adults. They know how to snuggle themselves inside their buckets and just like be a burrito inside the blankets. There's a sloth in here, believe it or not. And then we have Landon over here. For some reason, when it starts raining, sloths get much more active. So even though they have their buckets and their hammocks or whatever to stay dry and warm, they're going to choose to start going everywhere, and being extremely active. And for some reason, they also get much more aggressive. So our team, of course, if they need to do something for a sloth, they have to be extra careful, so that they don't get injured by one of the sloths.
Fantastic. Thanks for the first question, guys. All right, as we're walking around, we're going to head to our awesome Acacia team. Come on in. Third graders, hello, Ms. Lewis's class. Hi.
Raise your hand. Who wants to ask a question? Idris, come on up. Come on up.
Hey.
What's your question?
What is the oldest sloth in the sanctuary?
Ooh, great question.
Oh, great question. So our oldest is Milo. He's actually awake, so you're gonna be able to see him, and I love that. Milo turned 17 years old this year.
Pretty cute. We should all.
He was I know, right? He was also the second sloth to ever be rescued, and so he had to stay here with us at the ranch as a permanent resident because, just like Millie, we did not have the school system for our sloths, and so he received zero education, and he has no idea how to properly survive on his own.
The little smile gives it away. I don't want to be on that. I want to be fed. Great question. Thanks, guys. All right. Mr. Hancock's class, they had to go to lunch, but they had a question before they left, which is, why do you name them and how do you tell them apart?
So how do we name them? That's really gonna be up to Leslie, our founder, and our marketing team, or even our vet team. Sometimes we'll do like a contest on social media, like how you want to name them. We've done that a couple of times. Sometimes we're having kind of like a theme. So a couple of years ago, we had like a Halloween theme, and so every single sloth that arrived had a Halloween themed name. So we had Jason, we had Carrie, we had a lot of like Halloween themed movies, and it was super fun. And then how do we tell them apart? That's great. So every single one of them looks different, even though it might be hard at the very beginning. If you spend a little while with them, you start getting to know their personalities and how they look. Every single one of them is going to have something different, even if it's a freckle, or maybe they have a little bit more hair than the others. For example, I am in elementary school right now. Haiti, which is this ball of fluff underneath, she's extremely fuzzy and furry. And then we have this other baby that I have no idea who he is, or how to, identify him. But
Did we freeze for a sec? I think we did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're back. You're back. Are we good? We missed the last few seconds of what you said. You cut out for a second.
Sorry.
Okay.
So I was just saying that over here, that's like the perfect view because you can see some differences between Haiti and this other baby that I have no idea who he is. But I mean, Haiti's like super fuzzy and furry. The other baby has like bigger eyes, and they're like a little bit more popped out than Haiti's. Their color is also different, especially around their face. You can see that Haiti here. Oops, sorry. There you go. Haiti here, she's got like more white around here, and this baby, it doesn't have as much. We have these other babies. We have Nevada over here, which I know how to tell her apart because she's like super white. And so, yeah, it just takes a lot of practice.
Just like with us, your teachers have to learn all your names those first few days of class.
Yes.
And everyone else. Very nice. All right. I will say we've got 5 other live classes. I'm coming to all of you. And then a bunch from YouTube. So we'll try and do fast answers as best we can. But Mr. Alston, you're up next. And then John T. Tuck, we're coming to you right after. Come on in, Mr. Alston's class. Hello in Cardston, Alberta. Hey, Cougar Cubs. Welcome in, grade 4s. Hey, unmute your mic. Come talk with us. More fun that way.
Come on up, Gus.
Hey.
Can a sloth be vicious?
Ooh.
Yes, they can be vicious. Every single one of them has their own little personality, and some of them are more vicious than others. Our sloth nannies are always covered in like scars, like scratching scars or bite scars and wounds and everything, just because some of them are very, very vicious, which is great. I mean, we want to see that rather than not seeing them being vicious. And the adults, don't get me even started with them.
There's our tagline, Toucan Rescue Ranch. We promote viciousness. Very exciting. Great question, man. All right, Mr. Elsa's class, come on in, John T. Tuck, and take us away.
What is the red thing on their hand? And also,
do schools communicate?
Do they communicate?
The sloths communicate.
Yeah.
Okay, so the red on their hand, that's their pad. So kind of like our hand pad. It's just not covered in hair. So it is like very visible. It is kind of like a callus. So it's kind of like rough, and of course it provides them with very, very good grip whenever they're like holding onto branches or whatever. And then do sloths communicate? Yes, they do. They can hiss, and well, two finger sloths, they can hiss, they can grunt, they heavily breathe, and they have like very guttural sounds, so they kind of sound like Darth Vader. They can also start grunting, and it's very intimidating. And then three finger sloths, whenever the girls are ready to find a boyfriend, they're going to start screaming in D minor, I think it was. I saw a study recently, and I think it was D minor.
Makes my day. All right, Ms. Baraz of Oka West, we're coming to you, and then we're going to take some from YouTube, and then I want to stress all our classes. Please do email us with extra questions. We'll pass them along to Andrea. There's some extra learning to keep the excitement going when we're done, but I know there's more questions than we could possibly answer in one live show. So, Mrs. Fisher, come on back in the cars, and hey, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
How do sloths attack the environment?
Ooh.
How do they help
Attack their healthy environment.
Yeah.
So that's a very good question. Trying not to go like super deep on it. Since they are herbivores, they eat leaves. Whenever an animal eats a plant, it is going to help the plant to start building more like different defense mechanisms against other herbivores, whether that is building more toxicity, or having spikes, or something else during their evolution. So if you think of milkweed, for example, milkweed can be toxic for, like, if we eat it or whatever. Monarch butterflies, the more they eat them, the caterpillars, the more they eat the milkweed, the more toxic the plant is going to be. So it is kind of like a relationship over there. Also, they help the environment because they provide a home for all of the algae and the moss species that you can find on their hair. Like the picture that Jesse showed us, you can only find those species of algae on sloths, nowhere else. Same with some teeny tiny sloth moths that they have crawling all over their bodies. They provide a home specifically for those moths. Those moths, they cannot live elsewhere. They can only live on sloths, and their life cycle depends on the sloth, which is really cool.
Very, very cool. Great question. Very deep question. So I really appreciate that one. We're going to head to California and then Illinois, and then we'll take some from our YouTube channel. Miss Baraz class, come on in, guys. Take us away. Hey.
How many sloths do you guys save in one day?
Ooh, that's going to depend on the day. Like on really good days, the count would be 0. Because, if we don't have to rescue any, then that's a great day. That means that none of them were injured or nothing happened to them. But that I remember, on one of our busiest days, we had to take care of maybe 4 or 5. We do have an average of at least a sloth per day, which is very sad, both babies and adults. But we've also had very good luck on releasing them back into the wild, and we've done more than 200 sloths. We've put more than 200 sloths back into the wild.
Bravo, bravo. It's a figure. All right. Avoca West, grade 4s, come on in and take us away. Hey, guys. Hello.
Okay, Noor, go ahead.
Okay, so I was wondering, how do you know can you tell if a sloth is a male or a female, and how do you remember their names?
Nice.
Remembering their names is a very difficult task. Our sloth nannies can definitely give proof of that. But it's just like how your teachers remember all of y'all's names. It takes a lot of practice. And then regarding how we can tell girls from boys apart, that's a great question. With the 2-finger sloths, like if you see them, just like if you see them, there's no way for you to know if they are a boy or a girl. You actually have to dive in a little bit on their private parts. So the vets, they're the ones that do that. They start checking on their private parts, as they have told me and as they, taught me. If you see a small volcano, then that's a boy. And if you don't, then that's a girl. In the case of the three-finger sloths, male, the boys, they have a black patch of hair on their backs, and only the boys will have that. So they're missing some hair on their backs. That's called a speculum. And then the girls, they have long hair. Maybe you'll see a black stripe, but not a patch of hair. And there are two different species of three-finger sloths. They live in Brazil. They're called the maned three-finger sloths. And the males, just like a lion, they have a mane, and the females, they don't. So that's another easy way how you can tell those three-finger sloths apart.
Very, very cool. Oh, guys, so many great questions. We're at the 42-minute mark. So the one that we've had the most I'm going to take, because we've had it from Mr. Who's class, Miss Johnson's class, Miss Riddle's class, Miss Joseph's class. How old do they live? How long do sloths live?
Oh, that's a great question, and I would love to have an answer, but I don't have an answer for that one. So there hasn't been anyone that has been following sloths from the moment they're born to the moment they die, at least not in the wild. So there's not an average lifespan that we can give you. Here, we like to say somewhere around their 20s, but honestly, we're not really sure. We do know that in captivity, however, like in zoos, two-finger sloths have lived more than 30 years. There was actually a sloth that passed away last year. He lived in a German zoo, and he lived to be 54 years old. He even had like 2 Guinness World Records for being the oldest ever recorded sloth and everything.
The most Guinness recorded sloth of all time. He's just like,
yes, that as well.
Very cool. Oh, hello, cutie. You are so delightful. Well, I want to note, as we take a look at this beautiful sloth to help wrap up our program, I really encourage our classes. Check out toucanrescueranch.org or at Toucan Rescue Ranch on social media. They do so much to rescue animals. They're a really incredible organization. And if you want to draw some sloths and you're particularly inspired, we've got an amazing art campaign right now. So I will share this with all our registered classes. You can envision a brighter, greener future, and I'll be taking all the best sheets to Abu Dhabi for the World Conservation Congress. If you want to highlight the amazing stuff that you're doing to help make the world a better place, I can share your art with kids from around the whole planet. So take a look at that below. Before
you guys can participate.
we want some Costa Rican kids too.
Yes.
Before we wrap up and say a big farewell and bring in all you classes to say thank you and goodbye, is there any last message you want to leave us with about the Toucan Rescue Ranch, Andrea?
Well, International Sloth Day is coming up, and that's going to be in about a month. So International Sloth Day is the day to raise awareness about sloths and how we can protect them and everything. One of the biggest threats that sloths are facing at the moment are electrocutions. Almost one single sloth or more per day die from electrocutions just here in Costa Rica, which is a very sad reality. And also, there's a lot of poaching going on. So please never go to zoos or pet stores or whatever, where they will allow you to get in close contact with sloths or wild animals for that matter. And so here for the International Sloth Day, every year for the past 10 years, we have been hosting our Sloth Harriman Games competition. It's a lot of fun. You're going to see some of these juvies participating to win the crown, which is a lot of flowers. And it is a lot of fun. This year is our 10th anniversary. It's going to be so much fun. I'm the referee, so I'm going to make sure that everything, is in place, that everyone is following the rules. If someone does not want to participate, they will get disqualified, of course. And these years, it is even more educational than what we've done before. So just giving a spoiler right there. But I hope you guys can stay tuned to our social media platforms and join us on the International Sloth Day, celebrations.
We are going to feature that in a big way. We're going to feature you again many, many times through the school year. And such an amazing first program. Again, almost 1,000 kids from across North America. Send me those extra questions. Fill out our quick survey to let us know how we did and how we can do better. And for now, we'll just bring in all our classes and say a huge thank you and farewell. So, Mr. Alston, Mr. Els, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Els.